29 days to the presidential and parliamentary elections. Hello, welcome to Joy News Today with me, Emefa Akosia Adeti. We're live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. I am Emefa Akosia Adeti. Top stories today. NDC MPs accuse their NPP colleagues of causing financial loss to the state after the NPP group failed to show up at the emergency sitting they had requested. Diplomatic community worried as Ghana's elections approach, signaling fears of potential violence. We'll hear from the UK, the US, and the UN. We'll also bring you updates from the campaign trails. Vice President Dr. Bawumia promises an all-inclusive government if elected president to power to empower chiefs to fight illegal mining. The NDC's chairman is still canvassing for votes for John Mahama. We'll hear from them as well. We've got these plus business news, sports news, and world news in this package. Please stay for details. Another day of chaos in Parliament as NDC MPs say their colleagues on the NPP have caused financial loss to the state following events that led to an indefinite adjournment of the House. The NPP MPs failed to show up at the floor of the House for an emergency sitting they had requested the Speaker of Parliament to convene. Our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kukwa Sante has a report on all of that happened.
It's been another chaotic day in Parliament. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagwin, has once more indefinitely adjourned Parliament. NPP MPs who recalled Parliament to sit on urgent government business did not show up in the chamber, forcing the Speaker to say the House again lacked the quorum to take decisions and has adjourned proceedings. When the Speaker of Parliament walked in, it was only the NDC MPs who were seated on the majority side. Early on, they had come in their numbers and taken over the right-hand side of the Speaker, and they were not going to leave. The minority pews were empty. The Speaker consequently made a declaration that because the House is only constituted by a number that has not formed the correct decision making in the House, he's adjourning the House.
Unfortunately, the signatories who made the request have not shown up, and therefore matters that they wanted us to handle, which are admitted for the consideration of the business committee, are not on the order paper, and in fact there's no order paper for today because the business committee could not meet due to the absence of the people who requested for the recall. It is not advisable to be adjourning from day to day. And so I'll proceed once more to adjourn the meeting indefinitely. And the meeting, this extraordinary meeting, is accordingly adjourned.
Also, 5 NDC MPs have introduced a private members' bill to repeal the controversial Benton tax. The NDC group in Parliament have signaled they will continue to introduce legislation to undo what they describe as the hardship imposed by the President Akufo-Addo government. Our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent once again has got details. Well, later I will bring you the details of that, but let's bring you some election-related stories. This is your election headquarters. The diplomatic community is getting alarmed over what they describe as signal of violence in the upcoming elections. The UK and the US closely watching the situation and note growing tensions as campaign rallies and public statements by candidates heat up. Despite these concerns, they remain hopeful that Ghana's long-standing tradition of peaceful election will hold. Let's hear from the UK High Commissioner Harriet Thompson and the US Ambassador Virginia Palmer.
Many of us here tonight will be closely following the run-up to Ghana's elections next month. The UK doesn't support any party over another, but we strongly support Ghana's democracy. Like Ghanaians, we want to see this country continue to be the most stable and successful democracy in the region. That's why we're funding independent domestic observers and why British High Commission staff will travel across the country in coordination with many other diplomatic missions to see Ghanaian democracy in action. Unfortunately, my colleagues and I are frequently told by a range of people that they fear Ghana's 2024 elections will be less peaceful than previous elections. That's worrying for everyone, because an election that's not peaceful would be incredibly damaging for Ghana, as well as dangerous, of course, for those directly involved. But the good thing is that politicians and others in influential positions, many of you are here this evening, can prevent this from happening. They can use and are using their voices as leaders to send clear messages that a successful election is a peaceful one. So I urge all of you with influence to do all you can to ensure that Ghana has credible, transparent, inclusive and peaceful elections to make sure that Ghanaians continue their proud tradition of democracy. The UK cares so deeply about Ghana's democracy and future success because of the democratic values that we share. We know that economy and security of both our countries will be enhanced if we work closely together. And we know that a strong and enduring bilateral partnership that both learns from the past and looks to the future can improve the lives of people in both of our countries.
Ghana's is the last in calendar year 2024, so I think sort of the exclamation mark on a year of what celebration of democracy. I think Ghana's democracy is the most important thing. And we've had some interesting conversations with Ghanaian officials about the need to have a democracy dividend even in established democracies, so that, for example, the countries of the Central Sahel look and say, wow, because Ghana is democratic and stable, they are prospering. And so I'm looking to deepen the economic partnership too. And I know there are lots of American companies and development finance institutions that are looking at greater investment in Ghana and partnership in Ghana. Ghana is the 4th country in Africa, I think, where we've announced it. We also have instituted that policy in Europe and Latin America. It's not directed at the government of Ghana or at particular political parties, but we can not just refuse visas, but revoke visas for people who undermine or interfere with Ghana's democratic process. I think it's a very useful tool to have. I hope I don't have to use it. I hope it will deter bad behavior and hate speech. And I hope that I'll call again for early signing of the Peace Pact. I'll call on political leaders to come down hard on other candidates in races down the ticket, or even people just raising a ruckus.
Meanwhile, the UN Secretary General's Special Representative to the West Africa and Sahel, Leonardo Santos Temao, is appealing to the political actors to be peaceful and urge their followers to do the same.
We found when contacted the judiciary is to conduct their work within the limits of the law. So now, but sometimes how people understand the laws is not clear. But now I think there is more effort of the judiciary to explain to the citizen and to political parties what are the requirements of law at different steps of the process. What I felt and I feel is that they are prepared to go extra mile if their clients, the political parties, so they want. If they are not satisfied and they bring their concerns to the Commission, I have no doubt that things are going to be addressed. Well, there is always a room for improvement, and one of the areas for improvement is the area of communication. You, as commissioner, you might think that, well, I'm communicating enough. What I'm sharing with the society is good enough. But for the normal citizen, maybe it's not. Maybe they want more, not only in terms of details, but also in terms of extension of the explanation.
Joining us via Zoom is the Executive Director for West Africa's Center for Center Extremism, Mutari Mumuni Mukhtar. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'm sure that you have been hearing the concerns of the UK, US ambassadors, respectively. Please let me hear your take. Good afternoon, and if you can hear me.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Many thanks for joining us. I'm sure that you have been hearing the US, the UK, the UN Secretary General's representative as well, especially on how possibly volatile our electoral, we have become as a country. Please let me hear from you.
Yes, I hope you can hear me clearly now.
Yes.
These views are not entirely new for me. I interact with the diplomatic community quite a lot. And in very recent times, there are increasing fears and worry over what could, be part of the election outcomes in December. We are seeing a significant role of, issues regarding the lack of goodwill and consensus building among the key stakeholders, including the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission has not been successful in building goodwill around it and the trust and confidence that they need to carry everyone along. We're seeing a lot of tensions between especially the two main political camps. If you look at the trajectory in the last 1.5 years, it has been a very, very tense situation that has been created. We're also looking at, within the parliament, the current wranglings, political wranglings in parliament, all of that put together point to a potentially very perilous political outcome this year. And so it's important that we put all these things into context and ensure that we build, a kind of atmosphere that we can, ensure there's peace in the process and the outcomes of this election. And so I'm not entirely surprised that the diplomatic community is experiencing these fears.
Well, Mr. Mukhtar, let's do a little comparison. So the electoral ambience that has been created 2024, let's do a little comparison to 2020. Which one to you personally is nearly looking volatile?
I think around this time, the last elections, we were involved in quite a lot of activities, and there was quite a very tense atmosphere. And we experienced similar fears that the election processes and outcomes can be very perilous for everyone. And of course, it was not entirely same as we had expected, but the outcomes, including the shootings and the killings of individuals that should not and should never be part of election outcomes, it was part of it. And that made it very, very fearful, very scary for us in terms of our elections. This year, the stakes are very different. The stakes are very high. The resolve of these two political parties, the NDC and MPP, very, very determined to win the elections.
Yes.
If we look at the posture of both parties, we have never seen that. A ruling government so determined to ensure that they extend the traditional two-term mandate. It has never been like that. Of course, previous governments have tried, but the sort of preparedness, the resolve, the confidence and determination that we're seeing that from the ruling government has never been before. And we're seeing the former president come back and seek to take power. It has never been before. And so that makes, the situation potentially very, very perilous in terms of the stakes it involves here. And we're seeing already pockets of tensions and violence characterizing the process. Parliament hasn't helped. Parliament has made it worse. They have set a stage for a very perilous encounter, not only among the key actors, but also for their followers. These things should worry all of us. And if we look at the security preparedness towards that, it should worry us because we haven't seen yet enough assurance that we would have a very well-prepared process devoid of violent encounters.
Many thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Mukhtar, on News Today. Now let's move on to the campaign trails, where presidential candidate of the new Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has promised to establish an inclusive government if elected president, with a focus on empowering traditional leaders to fight against illegal mining. Speaking at a stakeholder meeting with traditional leaders in the Kwabri East constituency, Dr. Bawumia emphasized the importance of involving traditional leaders in the fight against illegal mining, which has been a major challenge for the country.
Nananum, yebu mine from 1957. Usha, yemfa nananum nkaho. Yedu nananum itunchewo. But muna mukuta asasi. Yedi yana saanwa embuaye. Me pese mesisa mrano. Section 63 of the Chieftaincy Act. Maybe amendino. Yedi more powers ma nananum namambuaye in the management and the governance of our country. Because Nyama Bibri Wahwa, just a year born and anumamania, ye be year license for mining concessions, Mwasasiswa, you have to be part of the licensing process. Ye be register, and Nananumuna Mukuta assassino. But most of the time, moon register because assassino also. Mube register assassino, Ube to your fees no Bibri, and yes, with the dispensation, all lands, 2 lands are nananumbe register. Initially, you be register for free, so that we encourage you to register. Because man register, or man situation eba, you be obeying himself, sasasi way but mutondia namo to your fee. And yes, mutondia you be a fee every more. But registration, you be register amamo for free. Muton na di anayaji ya kapre kakrawo. No, they are all also same.
Well, Chief of Anitemfi in the Ahafo North-South West District of the Ashanti Region, Nana Kwame Abebrese, has bemoaned the lack of electricity connectivity to about 30 communities in the area. He says the lack of power supply poses a threat to education and ICT of the awards. The community also lacks stable mobile network connectivity. Nana Yahjemfi visited the area and with the NDC chairman, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, who toured the Ashanti region and filed this report. I've also got Nanayao joining me on Zoom. Nanayao, if you're on, please give me an update and good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, MFR. So the NDC chairman, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, has completed a tour of the Ashanti region. He took time to visit some constituencies in the Ashanti region. In all, about 20 communities were visited by the NDC chairman. And basically, he went around explaining the NDC's policies or intended the manifesto promises to the people. Aside from that, he told them why they should this time vote against the new Patriotic Party, despite the Ashanti region's loyalty towards the party. According to him, even though the region has shown a lot of loyalty to the NPP, the NPP and the ruling NPP has continuously denied the people of the region of the needed development. For this reason, he believes that it's about time that the NPP vote the NDC this time. According to Johnson Esiedun Ketia, in some areas in the Ashanti region, the NDC has performed better than the NPP, who continue to win the region. So for this reason, it's about time that the people of the Ashanti region vote the opposition NDC instead of NPP. So basically, he's been visiting some traditional authorities and people in these areas in what he calls a retail campaign, and has been speaking to the people in very small groups and convincing them to vote the NDC or retain the NDC into power.
Now, let's stay in that community for a moment. Are you able to confirm to me that electricity really, they don't have electricity in that community entirely, or they have it, but it's not quite functional?
They are not connected to the national grid. They don't have electricity, so a lot of people are now making use of rechargeable lamps, which they use generators and other things to power before they're able to have electricity in the evening. According to the chief of the area, due to this situation, a lot of their children or their wards are not able to benefit from the use of technology in the area. And he believes that that is the new order. And it's about time that their wards have that opportunity to use some of these gadgets to improve the understanding or to be able to be abreast with what is happening presently around the world. So he believes that if the NDC should be voted into power, this should be prioritized.
Well, before I let you go, I know that yesterday we nearly brought the audience the story about how some university lecturers went on a march supporting a particular policy of the NDC. Can you give me an update on that?
Exactly. These lecturers are from some public universities in the Ashanti region. Many of them are from the Kamikuma University of Science and Technology. Others are from the Kumasi Technical University. And the mission of going around was very simple. They believe that the no academic user fee by the NDC is a very good policy that will help a lot of people from the free senior high school graduate into university. They'll get opportunity to get tertiary education. And aside from this, no first year fees for that is being promised by the NDC, there is another student loan system. They call it Student Loan Plus, which is intended to give students loans that are enough to cater for the fees of continuing students. So according to these lecturers, it will be very good that these policies are implemented for their students who they know some of them are in poverty and it's very difficult for them, some of them, to pay their fees. So for these policies, the lecturers believe that the NDC should be voted into power to implement these policies, which will alleviate the plight of some of their students. That's
a very interesting and unusual twist in that campaign. Thank you so much, Nanaya, for bringing us that update. But let's go back to the camp of the NPP, where Nana Boakye Yadom is with the Vice President and brings us updates. Nana Boakye, good afternoon. Please give me an update.
Well, MFA, good afternoon to you. The Vice President is back in the Ashanti region to continue with his 15-day tour of the region. Just as you know, he took a break yesterday to go launch the credit scoring system and also join the CEO's presidential dinner. Well, he's back in the region to continue his tour. He's visiting 3 constituencies today: the Odotobri constituency, Manso Nkwanta constituency, and then Manso Edubia constituency. Currently, the Vice President is in Odotobri. He's having a stakeholders meeting, meeting the clergy, traditional leaders, and he has been reiterating his commitment to include chiefs in the governance system. He's promising an all-inclusive government if elected in 2025. And aside that, he's also encouraging the business community and Ghanaians at large to make good use of the credit scoring system that he launched yesterday in Accra. And so these are some of the few words that the Vice President has touched on mainly during his campaign this morning. We expected to be in Manso Nkwanta and Manso Edubia in the late afternoon and also in the evening, MFR.
Nana Boakye, and so the credit scoring that was launched or unveiled yesterday, did he touch on it? Did he touch on it anyway?
Well, just as I said earlier, he's encouraging the business community. You know, wherever the Vice President has been to this morning, especially during the stakeholders engagement early this morning, he has been encouraging businesses, traditional authorities, and Ghanaians at large to make good use of the credit scoring system. He says that this is the chance for everybody who can access their credit to get loans from banks so that they can go about their businesses. And so he's been touching on the credit scoring system, saying that it is one thing that is really going to help businesses to make their ends met. And so the Vice President has really made mention of the credit scoring system that he launched yesterday, MFR.
Thank you so much, Nana Boakye. I still will come to you at some point during the election brief for more details. Thank you. Now, let's go back to that story of what happened in Parliament. And even following that, we know that by now 5 NDC members of Parliament have decided that they will put on or lay down a private member's bill concerning the Benton tax. My colleague is here. My favorite Kweku Asante. Hello, Kweku. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Please,
you know, these 5 MPs, MP for Medina, Francis Xavier Kojo-Sosu, majority leader, and he calls himself the majority leader. Dr. Kasila Tofosin, Honorable MP for Bolga, Isaac Adongo, MP for Ayenswano, Teddy Safori Adi, and Honorable Tamale North MP Alasan Suhini. They have introduced this private members bill to actually amend the Income Tax Amendment Act to actually repeal the withholding tax rate on winnings from betting. So the betting tax they're seeking to take away, and I know some persons will be excited. These 5 MPs say that if they look at the economy and the hardship that has been imposed by the government, that is their claim, they do not understand why this same government that is not creating jobs will continue to lump up more taxes on the young people of Ghana. And so they are putting this private members bill before Parliament to take away this tax on betting and lottery, so that when you win any bet or lottery, the existing withholding tax will no longer apply. They've written to the Speaker, they've attached their memorandum, and they say this is something that must come to the floor immediately. We know that as we speak, the NPP MPs are gathering signatures to recall Parliament again for an emergency sitting if between now and Monday they don't get a Speaker to recall Parliament on its own volition. And so if Parliament is recalled maybe in the next 2 weeks, the NDC MPs insist that they will also put this application to actually repeal the betting tax on the agenda of the House and take it away. So these 5 NDC MPs are sticking together.
So quickly, 2 things.
Yes.
I know that there's no time. If you look at the process in which a bill will go through, I'm wondering if there's enough time to want to push that through, considering that Parliament has been adjourned. That's 1. 2, I would have thought that generally you cannot repeal entirely a tax law. And so how feasible is this one as well?
Exactly. If you look at the Constitution, starting from the second question, the Constitution says a private member's bill is not able to completely repeal it unless by reduction. So you can reduce it, the percentage from, say, 5% to 1% or 0.5%.
Right.
And that is what the Constitution says when it comes to private members' bill dealing with matters of taxes. Okay. And so one would have expected that these MPs would have adverted their mind to this. But this is a legal process that will perhaps pan out on the floor of Parliament when they eventually put this bill before the House. They can also do so by amendment when they put it there and amend it from completely repealing it and reducing it to a certain percentage. That is the second question. When it comes to the first regarding time, MPs will tell you that as Parliament, they are the masters of their own rules. So they can fashion out a few modalities to ensure that they can ram this through. They can also bring it under a certificate of urgency and even do it within a day. If there's a commitment and the legal issues are removed, this is something they can do pretty quickly.
Thank you so much, Ashanti. Now, let's go back to the NDC's camp, where the NDC's presidential candidate, John Mahama, says that the deceased founder of Kama Group of Companies, Dr. Michael Ejekum Addo, is just one of the many prominent individuals alongside numerous pensioners and ordinary Guineans who were pushed into financial distress due to the government's mismanagement of the economy. Speaking on the first day of his tour in the Central Region, Mahama urged the residents of Ewutu Senya East to vote out the new Patriotic Party. I've got my colleague Maxwell Agbawa, who's been traveling with the flag bearer of the NDC, joining us live now. Maxwell, good afternoon, and what else can you report?
Well, the NDC Presidential Candidate just started speaking here in the Gomwa East constituency. But like you mentioned earlier, he was in the Ewutu Senya East constituency just about 15 minutes ago. And key among the things he talked about, aside from what he says is pain and penury brought upon pensioners by the President Akufo-Addo-led government, he also talked about employment. And he says the future NDC government is going to create more jobs for young people through the 24-hour economy. So that for young ones who have their parents and other dependents that they take care of, they will be in a position to be able to take care of them. He has also been talking about the fact that would require recruitment into the state security agencies. And he's saying that the future NDC government would recruit 25,000 policemen when it is elected. And he says that this would ensure the success of the 24-hour economy. He says they're going to decentralize the security recruitment process. He says in times past, it has been centralized, making it difficult for a lot of people to go through. But he says the future NDC government would decentralize the recruitment process to make it possible for more young people to be recruited.
Okay, Maxwell, thank you. I'm not sure if my network is favoring me today, but thank you. And we'll promise to bring you updates subsequently in our bulletins. But away from elections, the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana is asking government to increase budget allocation for the agri sector. The group, in a statement released to commemorate Farmers' Day, also wants government to enhance private sector participation. Let's run you through the key findings of the group. and would also speak to Anthony Morrison at some point, but here's what they have been saying. Now, Ghana's agriculture sector is struggling due to inadequate policies and program. So says that farmers across the country face poor economic conditions with limited access to finance, markets and technology. Also, the farmer population is aging with an average age of 55 years, while threatening the sector's sustainability. Rudimentary and unproductive skills stifle true rural economic growth and transformation. Also, Ghana recently ranked on skills development according to the World Bank's Business Ready profile. Let's also bring you some recommendations from the group that's calling itself the Agribusiness Ghana Farmers. It says that increased budget allocation for agriculture, that's 1. 2, says that streamline regulation and reduce bureaucracy. Also enhance private sector participation. 4 also would be prioritize agriculture research and development. And the 5th one, develop a comprehensive agricultural skills development program. Now, let's talk to Anthony Morrison, and he's the Chief Executive Officer of Chamber of Agribusiness. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for joining us. And so what has really given rise to all of these ideas that you would like the government to implement?
Thank you very much, MFA, and a very good afternoon to your charity. Yes, we are taking a lot of things into context now, especially with regards to the current food security challenges of the country. We are also looking at the sub-regional insecurity situation, also in view of our competitive and comparative advantages we have in the global export market. That's also not excluding the fact that as a country, we haven't done much in an improved skill development where we are very competitive, able to turn around all that the minimum have in terms of exponential and the fact that can evaluate and access.
Mr. Morrison, and so today is Farmers' Day, quite an unusual calendar. You're asking that government will allocate more resources. Tell me about how you feel today's Farmers' Day. Tell me.
Well, we are unfortunately celebrating a Farmers' Day with a lot of cry in that we have a lot of challenges facing farmers in Ghana today. Ghanaian farmers are not being protected. The average wage of a farmer cannot be compared to the minimum wage of the country. Farmers across board, especially in the rural economy, where they constitute over 63% of the population of the country, still live in a very poor economic situation. This is as a result of government not paying attention to the well-being of farmers across the country. Issues with farmers' pension, issues with farmers' health situation, and also how we can strategically position farmers in that we can triple their income-generating ability or income-generating sectors. And all this will have to be harnessed on a very strong national agriculture sector regulation and also sustainable investment in large quantity as ascribed by to the Malabo Cadet Declaration, and also to make sure that as a country we are providing our farmers the kind of high skills and training and capacity building that they require to be able to be competitive and use the least resources available to them to be able to turn out the right output in terms of our yield per hectare and also the produce that are required to be able to withstand any critical situation.
Okay. Thank you so much for talking to us, Mr. Anthony Morrison, and he's the Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana. Time now for business. You're watching JoyNews Today.
Welcome back to Business on JoyNews Today. My name is Winston Taki, and out of our business story. Quality Insurance Company has introduced its newest product, Weather Index Insurance, to protect farmers and agricultural businesses from harsh weather conditions such as drought and excess rainfall that can impact their yields and operations. Speaking at the launch, Manager of Agri Insurance Unit at QIC, Sarah Bempo, assured customers of a maximum payout of up to 100% of sum insured to affected farmers on the policy. The insurance company, in partnership with Ibiza, has developed a weather index insurance product designed to protect agricultural businesses and individual farmers from unpredictable weather conditions that significantly impact their yields and operations. Speaking at the product launch in Accra, Sarah Bempo, manager of the Agri Insurance Unit at QIC, highlighted the benefit this insurance offers farmers.
The farmers have already said they don't like book long, they don't like too much paperwork. So you just fill one form and that's it. The other thing is that you don't need to wait for the end of the season to get your payouts. As long as there is a trigger and is established, you get your payouts within 10 days. So it is very easy, quick, and also it's very transparent because you can actually monitor your policy from your device. So the maximum payout you can get is up to 100% of your sum insured.
Bempo further explained the product's extensive reach and its target market.
So we are looking at selling this at the meso level simply because if we try to do the micro level, it will be too expensive for us because farmers are scattered all over the place. So we are doing the meso level, trying to put them, deal with the aggregators, OBs, FBOs, farmers who are already in groups. That doesn't mean that we are leaving out the smallholder farmers in totality. That if they come to us, our doors are open, we will deal with them. However, we will not actively go chasing them individually because that will escalate the operational costs.
Professor Irene Susanna Agri, Associate Professor at the Department of Agricultural Economics and Agribusiness at the University of Ghana, also provided insight.
I believe that it allows farmers, when they have the payouts, we talked about improved seed, use drought-tolerant seed. You have to pay for that. Use fertilizers, you have to pay for that. Even build irrigation, you have to pay for that. And I believe that this payouts will incentivize farmers to do the right things. And they have bundled the service. It's not only interested in receiving and paying out, but they are going to do capacity building. So very soon, farmer behavioral change is going to follow. So the farmers will do the formal things we have been teaching them so that their yields will always be good. And in case there is a natural disaster, they also have this fund to follow.
The Quality Insurance Company's Weather Index Insurance is a parametric policy in which claims are automatically triggered when specific weather conditions such as drought or excessive rainfall reach a predefined threshold. Now, moving on, MasterCard Foundation, in partnership with Agri Impact Limited, is implementing the Harnessing Agricultural Productivity and Prosperity for the Youth program to create 3,206 jobs and increase food production by 2027 to address food security, among other issues. Speaking at the program's annual learning event in Sunyani, the Group Chief Executive of Agri Impact, Dan Akwe, explained that the program will explore opportunities in the production of rice, soybean, tomato, and poultry value chains to reduce the import on this product. Precious Semavo has more.
Implementation of the Harnessing Agricultural Productivity and Prosperity for Youth Happy Program, an initiative of MasterCard Foundation in partnership with 9 other implementers led by Agri Impact Limited, started a year ago to explore job opportunities for the youth, with 70% targeting women. The program, implemented across Ghana, will equip the youth with skills and tools to increase production within the rice, soybean, tomato, and poultry value chains to create 326,000 dignified and sustainable jobs by 2027 and promote value addition and marketing, among others. The group chief executive of Agri Impact, Danakwe, said this will reduce food importation.
December 1st to 30th September 2024, the program has been able to open up job opportunities for 94,000 young people in Ghana in the 4 agricultural value chains. It is not only creating jobs, but how do we also increase food production to address food security in the country? And the aim of the program is that every year we should be able to produce 189,000 tons of food. And by doing that, we will be able to reduce our food import by $200 million a year, which is about 10% of the food that we import into the country. 1 year on, we have learned a lot of lessons, and we need to share the lessons that we have learned to inform other organizations in agricultural program development.
He said they are working with the Ministry of Agriculture to have the youth on board.
We are working with the Ministry of Agri and the district assemblies to sensitize the young people. There are a number of platforms too that we share links for them to apply. Once you apply, you go through screening, you are selected. But the communities, especially where you have structures at the community level, it could even be the assembly, it could be farmer associations, faith-based organizations. We are working through all of them to do sensitization.
That'll be all for business. My name is Winston Taki. Coming up next is sports.
Let's bring you sports now on JoyNews Today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. On Thursday, Ghana's head coach Otuado named a 25-man squad for the last round of AFCON 2025 qualifiers against Angola and Niger. Ghana will play Angola next week Friday, which is November 15 at 7 p.m. and the other game will be happening on Monday at 4 p.m. at the Accra Sports Stadium. The topical points from the squad announcement was the absence of Thomas Partey, where the head coach explained that it was his decision to drop Thomas Partey from the squad, and also his decision to name Jordan Ayew as the captain of the team for the last round of the qualifying matches. My colleague Lawrence Beidou was there and has details in this report.
Athletic Bilbao and Ishaku Abdul Fattah, Leicester City, and Joseph Pencil, LA Galaxy.
Black Stars head coach Otuado has named his squad for the final 2 games of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. Now 4 new faces come into the team from the last call-up. Nathaniel Ejay, Abdulmanaf Nuruddin, Emmanuel Entry and Razak Simpson all making the squad. Razak Simpson and then Emmanuel Entry are the 2 players from the local scene who are getting their debut call-ups to the national team. Now, key issues that popped up from Otuado's presser is the absence of Arsenal midfielder Thomas Partey.
I had a confidential talk with Thomas. I'm a coach who always like to protect the players. So I hope for your understanding. For me, the team is like family, and I'm not coming out with internal issues. But I made quite clear to him he wanted to come. So this one first, he wanted to come, but I made quite clear that why he's not coming. Like I said, it's confidential. It's difficult for me to mention all the things. It's like that. We have to move on.
Otuado also stressed on the reason why Mohamed Kudus would have to leave his position as the captain of the side, having been in charge for the 2 games against Sudan.
Now, as we know, Thomas is not there for the next 2 games. We made the decision to
Let's bring in fixtures of March Day 10 in the Ghana Premier League. Accra Hearts will come up against Vision FC later tonight at the Legon Sports Stadium. Dreams FC will play Medium FC. Nations FC will also come up against Inshort Football Club. Bechem United, they will host Kumasi Asante Kotoko. The Porcupine Warriors lost back-to-back games against Heart of Lions and Legon Cities, the Legon Stadium and Bosley Enclave Sports Stadium, respectively. And one of the players, Emmanuel Entry, he got a call-up to the Black Stars for the last round of the AFCON qualifiers. against Angola and Niger. Basake Holy Stars, newly promoted side, will come up against Accra Lions. Young Apostles, another newly promoted side, will play Bibiane Gold Stars, who currently sit at the summit of the Premier League table with 19 points and yet to taste a defeat. This in Heart of Lions, who play Brekum Chelsea. Eduana Stars will come up against Kalaola United, and FC Samatex, defending champions, will play bottom place Legon Cities. And these are the fixtures for March Day 10 in the Ghana Premier League. You can head on to myjoyonline.com and read all the previews that Joy Sports has put together. That's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com.
Hello there, good afternoon. You're welcome to the Showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline and Samayabwa. This week on social media, the drama was real, from high-profile celebrity throwbacks to steamy scandals and surprising confessions. We've got a wrap-up of what kept social feeds buzzing. Let's dive in.
Prophet Nigel Gazy made headlines by owning up to the times he got his prophecies wrong in a candid interview with Andy Dusty on His FM.
Or have you seen prophecies that
and got it wrong?
Yes.
Yeah, I sometimes get it wrong. That makes me a human being. Yeah, no prophet gets it. If every prophet that get 100% is fake. Sometimes God...
I salute you, right?
Yeah.
You know why?
Yeah.
For just telling that truth.
No, me, I don't lie. Sometimes God will twist your mouth, your lips, so as you make a mistake.
Well, on that note, is a wrap for the Showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline and Sama Yabwa. Over to you, Emifa.
Thank you so much, darling Jackie. But over here at Joy News, we definitely get it right. We'll not twist our mouth. Thank you for joining us on today's installment of Joy News Today with me, Emefa Akosia Adeti. Do stay on for Marketplace.